I didn't leave because I was angry. I left because she made it easy. It started with her forgetting how to lie properly. You know the kind, when the stories don't match the eyes. When her mouth says she was at her sister's, but her perfume smells like a hotel lobby and stale champagne. When she starts smiling at her phone like it told her a joke she doesn't want to share. It wasn't one thing. It was everything in the wrong order. Friday night. That's the exact moment the timeline broke. She came home at 11:38 p.m., heels in one hand, hair like it had been through a wind tunnel, eyes glassy like she just survived something or someone. I was on the couch, pretending to be asleep. She didn't even try to walk quietly, just dumped her bag on the counter, yawned like a teenager, and disappeared into the bathroom. But here's the part that got me. She was humming. She hadn't hummed in months. Not when we were watching movies. Not when I brought her coffee in bed. But she was humming that night while washing someone else's fingerprints off her skin. I went out to the car an hour later. Didn't even put on shoes. Just walked out barefoot into the driveway like a man who forgot how to feel cold. The glove compartment was already open, had been for days. I knew what I was looking for, and I found it. A receipt. Hotel Eden. One night. 2 guests. Paid in cash. But the clerk must have handed her the slip without thinking. It was crushed between an old pair of sunglasses and a half-melted chapstick. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there in the garage with the engine off, reading the receipt like it was a letter from someone who didn't have the guts to write one. Saturday morning, I made her breakfast. Eggs, toast, sliced strawberries. She kissed my cheek and told me I was sweet, like a child, like a fool, like a man who doesn't know that love letters have been replaced by room keys and half-hearted lies. That night, I started writing the note. I didn't finish it right away. I wrote 1 sentence, then 2. Then I crossed them out. Not dramatic enough, not sharp enough. It had to stab. By Sunday I had it. 1 line. Simple. Cruel but honest. She woke up at 2 a.m. and realized I wasn't in bed. The note was waiting on the nightstand. The bedroom light was off. But I made sure the hallway one stayed on. Just bright enough for her to read the words over and over again. She screamed. Not because I left. Because I caught her. And because I left first. She didn't call. She didn't text. Not at first. I think she thought it was a bluff. Madison always believed she had control of the room, even if it was burning down around her. The first 24 hours? Silence. Like she was waiting for me to cool off. Like I was some little boy throwing a tantrum instead of a man who'd been watching his marriage rot from the inside out. But I wasn't cooling off. I was cataloging. Every lie. Every shift in tone. Every whispered phone call in the bathroom. Every, I'm working late with a fresh coat of lipstick and no laptop in sight. I started writing it all down. Not to confront her with it, no. I was past the point of proving anything. I needed to see it in black and white. How long I'd been playing husband to someone rehearsing an exit strategy with another man. Monday, 9:52 a.m. My phone rings. It's her. No caller ID, but the silence on the line gave it away. She didn't even speak for the first few seconds. Just breathed. Like she was debating whether she dialed on purpose. I didn't say anything either. I wanted her to fill the silence. Finally, she said it. Can we talk? I didn't respond. She tried again, voice cracking like she'd bitten her pride. Ryan, please. I didn't mean for it to get this far. That line. That one. I almost laughed. Like we were talking about a parking ticket or some missed dinner reservation. I gave her 5 seconds of silence before I hung up. Not because I was angry, but because I knew that silence was going to eat her alive. Madison thrives on being the center of gravity. Take that away and she spins out. 3 hours later I got a text. 1 sentence. I made a mistake. Another. I need you to come home so we can talk like adults. Funny. She hadn't spoken to me like an adult in months. Back when she still flinched at her phone lighting up during dinner. Back when I could hear her whispering on the balcony like I wouldn't walk out there one day and hear a man say, I miss you too, before the call cut off. And here she was, trying to summon me back like I was a lost pet that wandered off. I didn't answer. So she turned to guilt. The next message was a photo. Our wedding. We were standing in front of the lake. She had tears in her eyes. I remember thinking that day, God, I really got lucky. This woman would never betray me. Beneath the photo she wrote, "You're destroying everything we built," as if she hadn't been swinging a wrecking ball in the dark for the last year. And that's when I knew. She wasn't sorry. She was cornered. So I called her bluff. I drove back. Not to talk. Not to fix anything. I went to end it with her sitting right there, facing everything she thought she could lie her way out of. And she wasn't ready for what I had waiting in my back pocket. I parked 2 houses down. Didn't want her seeing my car and preparing one of her performances. Madison was good at those, tears right on cue, the wide innocent eyes, the trembling lower lip. It used to work. She knew how to make you feel like you were the one who broke something. But this time I was walking in with facts, not feelings. She opened the door before I even knocked. Probably had been watching from the window. "Ryan," she said, like she'd just seen a ghost. Like she couldn't believe I was standing there. I stepped inside without a word. The house smelled like citrus cleaner and desperation. Everything was too neat, too staged. Candles lit. Her hair done. Makeup soft, subtle, the kind she used to wear when she wanted something. "Do you want coffee?" she asked. I laughed. Actually laughed. She flinched like it slapped her. "You think this is a coffee conversation?" She tried to keep control, but her voice had a wobble. "I just think if we sit down like adults." I cut her off. "You slept with him in our bed, didn't you?" Madison's lips parted, then closed. Her eyes did this flicker thing, like she was scanning for the safest lie to land on. But I gave her no room. "I saw the messages. I saw the photos. Don't insult both of us by pretending there's still a version of the truth that makes this better." Her hands were shaking now. She reached for the back of a chair, steadying herself like she'd just been hit by a wave. "Ryan, I messed up. I was lonely. You weren't there. You were working all the time and there it is," I said. "I wasn't there." She sniffed as if tears were coming. They weren't. I've seen her cry before, real tears. When her dog died. When her dad went into surgery. This wasn't that. This was acting. This was smoke. "Who is he?" She hesitated. "Who is he, Madison?" "Travis." I nodded slowly. "Travis. Her coworker. The one she said was just funny and a little flirty, but harmless. The one I asked her about last fall when I noticed his name popping up in her notifications at 11 p.m. I reached into my jacket pocket and took out the hotel receipt. Room 314. 2 nights. Champagne add-on. You paid in cash. Her face drained of color. I dropped it on the table. "You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry I found out." "No. That's not true," she said, voice too loud, too quick. "You don't understand, I didn't plan this. It just happened. He listened to me. He made me feel seen." I smiled cold. "He saw the parts of you that needed applause. That's all. You want someone to clap for your bad decisions and call it love." She started to cry. Finally. "Maybe real, maybe not. I didn't care anymore." "You always twist things," she whispered. "You always make me the villain." "You are the villain," I said, calm as a knife sliding into skin. "You just don't want to admit you enjoyed it." That broke her. She sat down hard, buried her face in her hands. I didn't flinch. I didn't sit. Instead, I took out the second envelope from my pocket. Inside was a printed copy of the message she sent Travis last week. The one where she told him he's so blind. I could cheat right in front of him and he'd probably say sorry for interrupting. I left it on the table next to her elbows. Then I walked out without another word. Let her scream this time, too. Let her scream until the neighbors think she's dying. Because she is. Just not in the way she expected. I drove until the sun came up. No destination, just the road. Windows down, cold morning air cutting through my thoughts like glass. I didn't feel free. I didn't feel relieved. I felt numb. Like someone had opened me up and scooped everything out, left me hollow and echoing with her lies. Somewhere around 7 a.m., I pulled into a gas station, got black coffee I didn't taste, and sat in the parking lot staring at the pump numbers click by for other people. I was outside of everything, my marriage, my house, my life. My phone buzzed. First it was a text. "Please just come back. We can fix this. I'm begging you." Then another, seconds later. I told Travis it was a mistake. I ended it. It didn't mean anything. And then, boom, the switch. "You're overreacting. You always were dramatic." There she was. The real Madison. It didn't take long. 1 minute she's crying, the next she's clawing. That's how she works. If softness doesn't work, she reaches for the knife. And if that doesn't work, she tells you the bleeding is your fault. By 8:03 a.m. I had 15 texts, 3 missed calls, 1 voicemail where she sobbed so hard I couldn't tell if she was choking or faking it. Probably both. I blocked her. It wasn't a power move. It wasn't revenge. It was preservation. Like putting up sandbags during a storm. She'd flood me if I let her. I checked into a cheap motel 2 towns over. Paid cash. No ID. I didn't want her knowing where I was. Didn't want to see her name pop up on the front desk phone asking to just talk. I threw my phone in the drawer face down. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall for 2 hours. What hit me hardest wasn't the cheating. It was how easy she did it. How natural the lying came. How little effort it took to erase years of inside jokes, late-night drives, shared playlists, her falling asleep on my chest while I read. All of it just smoke. I started thinking back. All the signs I ignored. The perfume that didn't smell like hers. The weird bruises on her shoulder she said came from yoga. Yoga. The nights she came home and immediately took a shower with the water running loud like she was scrubbing off someone else's scent. She never even tried to hide it well. Because she didn't think she had to. That's what guts me. She didn't respect me enough to cover her tracks. Later that day, I got a text from her sister, Megan. One of the only decent people in her orbit. I don't know exactly what happened, but Madison's hysterical. She's saying you found out and left in the middle of the night? Are you safe? I texted back. I'm safe. I just finally got tired of being lied to. She didn't respond right away. But a few minutes later, I got this. I always had a feeling. If you need a place to crash, say the word. It hit me like a sucker punch. She knew. At least part of her did. Which made me wonder how many people around us were smiling to my face, all while knowing the woman I loved was making a fool of me. And worse, how long had she been waiting for me to find out? Did she ever plan to tell me? Or was she just going to keep letting me play the part of the idiot husband while she lived the second life behind locked screens and silent glances? I laid back on the motel bed, stared at the cracked ceiling, and whispered to no one. She was gone long before I was. The first person to actually tell me the truth wasn't Madison. It was Travis. Yeah, that's right. The man she cheated on me with. It happened 3 days after I left. I was sitting outside this rundown diner off Route 6, killing time eating pancakes that tasted like wet cardboard when I got the message. Not a number I recognized, but the words made me freeze halfway through a bite. Hey, this is Travis. I think we need to talk. For a second, I thought it was some kind of joke. Some sick game she was playing, maybe trying to bait me into exploding so she could say, see? You're crazy. This is why I needed someone else. But no. 2 minutes later. I didn't know she was married. Not at first. That did it. I messaged back. Where? He sent the address of some cafe downtown. Public place. Smart choice. I drove there half expecting a setup or that he wouldn't even show. But he did. Button-up shirt, nervous eyes, the kind of guy who clearly thought he was walking into a gunfight. He stood when I approached, offered a handshake like we were 2 businessmen closing a deal. I didn't take it. We sat down. Silence for a moment. Then he spoke. I didn't know about you, he said, voice quiet. Not until about a month in. I stared at him. And when you found out? I asked. You just, what? Kept going anyway? He didn't look surprised. He just nodded slowly. Yeah, I did. I respected that more than I thought I would. The honesty. The absence of excuses. He leaned forward. Look, man. I'm not proud of any of this. She told me you were separated. Said it was a dead marriage. That you didn't love her. That she was only staying for financial reasons. I let out a breath. That was her pattern, turn herself into a victim to justify whatever garbage she wanted to swim in. She did it with old friends too. Anyone she couldn't control, she'd twist into an enemy. She told me you were cold, he added. That you were never home. That you ignored her. I couldn't help myself, I laughed. A bitter, quiet laugh. Because I was home. I worked from home. I cooked, cleaned, planned date nights she canceled. And when I gave her space, she called me distant. I didn't come here to fight, Travis said. I thought you deserved to know. She lied to me too. Said she ended things with you months ago. Said you were obsessed with her. That you were stalking her. That stopped me cold. Stalking? He looked embarrassed. Yeah. That's when I started to realize something was off. I saw her phone one night, saw your texts. The way she talked to you was not how someone talks to an ex. I started asking questions. She flipped out. I believed him. Not because I wanted to, but because that Madison, that raging, cornered version of her that I knew all too well. She used both of us, I said flatly. He nodded. I broke it off after that night. Haven't seen her since. But I figured you deserved the truth. I stood up. Thanks. He looked like he wanted to say more, but I walked away. I didn't need more apologies. I didn't need closure from him. I just needed to end this cycle. And that's when I made the call. To my lawyer. I was done surviving. It was time to start rebuilding without her lies in the foundation. It was raining when I walked into the lawyer's office. Not the cinematic kind of rain, no thunder, no storm clouds, just that quiet, relentless drizzle that soaks everything before you even realize you're wet. Fitting, I thought. That's what it felt like being married to Madison the last year, slow erosion. Not a wrecking ball, but a leak in the ceiling no one bothered to fix. Ryan Walker, the receptionist asked. I nodded. 10 minutes later, I was sitting across from a woman named Denise, who wore glasses on the tip of her nose and had a voice like gravel and iced coffee. She didn't ask me why I was there. She just looked at the file I'd emailed the day before, the screenshots, the receipt, the phone records, and said, we can work with this. That's all I needed to hear. She laid it out plainly. I had grounds. The state was no fault, but documented infidelity could tilt the division of assets, and I'd kept good records. She was impressed. I told her I hadn't planned to build a case, I just stopped deleting the evidence when the truth got too heavy to carry alone. By the time I walked out with the paperwork in my hand, the rain had stopped. Sun was peeking through, just barely. Funny how the sky knew when to shift. I drove back to the motel, packed up what little I had, and made a call. Megan answered on the second ring. Hey, she said carefully. You okay? Can I take you up on that couch offer? Absolutely. I'll tell my roommates you're coming. She didn't ask questions. She didn't say I told you so. She just gave me the address and said she'd leave the door unlocked. It was a weird kind of peace. Not happiness, not yet, but something closer to clarity. A quiet space in my chest where all the noise had been. And then, of course, Madison found a new way to crawl back in. I was halfway to Megan's place when my phone, newly unblocked out of stupid curiosity, lit up again. This time? It was a video. Madison crying. Full face in the frame, red eyes, no makeup. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, she sniffled. I made a mistake. I don't even recognize the person I became. You were good to me, Ryan. Too good. I pulled over. Not because I was moved. Because I felt nothing. That terrified me in a weird way. This was the woman I was going to grow old with. The woman I planned vacations with, had silly arguments about where to put the couch, laughed in bed with overdone memes. And now? Watching her cry was like watching a stranger perform a monologue. I wish we could go back, she whispered in the video. To before I messed it all up. She paused. I still love you. I closed the video. I didn't save it. Didn't respond. I stared at my own reflection in the black screen of my phone, and for the first time since this all started, I saw a man who was done. Not angry. Not broken. Just done. Megan's place was a second-floor walk-up with creaky steps and a welcome mat that said, "Not today, Satan." It made me smirk, something I hadn't done in a while, without forcing it. She met me at the door wearing sweats and a messy bun, holding out a mug of chamomile tea like we were in some kind of post-battle debrief. I figured you'd rather this than small talk, she said. She was right. I dropped my duffel bag near the couch and sat down like I hadn't rested in weeks. Maybe I hadn't. Real rest doesn't happen when you sleep next to someone who lies with her whole body. Megan didn't pry. She just sat in the armchair across from me, sipping her tea, watching me like she was making sure I didn't disintegrate right there on her carpet. After a while, I asked, "How long did you know?" She didn't play dumb. Didn't pretend. Not long. A couple months, maybe. I had a weird feeling when she started asking me if I thought you'd ever cheat on her. That stung. She said that. Megan nodded. Yeah. Like she was testing the waters. Seeing what she could get away with. She said you'd gotten distant. That you didn't talk much anymore. I swallowed hard. She didn't talk to me either. I know, Megan said. That's what I told her. I said, "Have you told him any of this?" And she just changed the subject. That's when I figured something was up. I wanted to be mad. At Madison. At Megan. At the universe. But mostly, I just felt exhausted. Like I'd been dragged underwater for a year and only just now broke the surface. She thinks I ruined everything, I said quietly. Like it was all on me. Megan leaned forward. She needed to believe that, Ryan. Because if she admitted she broke something good, then she'd have to live with who she actually is. That stuck with me. Who she actually is. I think I'd spent so much time loving the version of Madison I wanted her to be that I ignored the one standing right in front of me. The one who lied easily. Who manipulated people like it was sport. who didn't even hesitate to spin a false story to the man she was in bed with and the one paying the mortgage. Later that night, I scrolled through old photos on my phone. Birthday dinners. Beach trips. Her asleep on my chest with a half-read book resting on her stomach. And I realized something brutal. She'd been fading from those moments even then. I just refused to see it. You think you know someone because you remember their laugh or how they like their coffee. But that's not knowing. That's memorizing. The person underneath? The one who makes choices when no one's watching? That's who they really are. Madison's choices said everything I needed to hear. And mine were about to follow. The divorce papers were sent on a Thursday. No warning. No message. No, hey, just so you know, I had them served at her office. Not out of spite, but because I knew if I gave her even a second of notice, she'd find some way to spin it. She'd try to turn the narrative, make herself the victim of a rushed decision. Like months of betrayal needed a grace period. Megan texted me later that afternoon. She's going off. Screaming at the front desk. Telling people you ambushed her. I replied with 2 words. Let her. She wanted attention. Let her earn it. The funny thing about people like Madison is they think they can orchestrate every detail of who gets blamed, who feels bad, who comes crawling back. But there's always that moment where the script slips out of their hands. That's when you see them for what they are, a mess in expensive perfume scrambling to remember their lines. Later that night, she tried calling from a different number. I let it ring. Then she left a voicemail. You're being cruel. You ambushed me in front of my coworkers. I don't even understand who you are anymore. What happened to the man I married? He woke up, Madison. That's what happened. He stopped forgiving the little digs. Stopped swallowing the silence. Stopped excusing the perfume that didn't belong to him or the way she flinched when he walked into a room she thought she had to herself. I sat on Megan's balcony that night, hoodie up, watching the city breathe. I hadn't slept more than a couple hours a night in weeks, but for the first time, I didn't feel like I was waiting for the next bomb to drop. I was calm. Clear. And that's when I saw the email. It was from Travis. Subject line, just so you know. I opened it expecting, who knows? An apology. A rant. Maybe even more secrets. But what I read changed everything. He attached screenshots. Conversations between him and Madison after I'd left. Messages she'd sent him in a panic, begging for another chance. Telling him I was just trying to make her look bad, that I forged the receipt, that I was emotionally abusive and obsessed with control. My stomach twisted. She didn't just lie. She doubled down. Even after she cried in that video. Even after she claimed she didn't recognize the person she'd become. She was still spinning stories. Still lighting fires in every direction and acting shocked when something caught. Travis ended the email with this. I know I played my part in this, but I didn't sign up to be a character in someone's lies. Figured you deserved to see it all. And he was right. I did. The truth didn't hurt anymore. It fueled me. I downloaded everything. Backed it up twice. Sent it to my lawyer. And then I stared at my reflection in the glass door for a long time. Same face. Same eyes. But I wasn't him anymore. And she sure as hell wasn't my wife. Madison showed up at Megan's door 3 days later. Didn't call. Didn't text. Just showed up. It was early evening. I was on the couch, half watching some rerun, half dozing off with a hoodie over my eyes. Megan answered the knock, and I heard it, the voice I knew too well. Sweet at first, stretched thin like a violin string about to snap. Is Ryan here? Please, I just want 5 minutes. I didn't move. I heard Megan step outside, close the door behind her. They spoke in hushed tones, but I could make it out. Madison was shaking, voice breaking. I need to talk to him. He won't answer me. I know I messed up, but he doesn't understand everything that was happening. Oh, he understands, Megan said coldly. He understands exactly who you are now. Don't do that, Madison snapped. You always thought you were better than me. No, I just thought he deserved someone who didn't cheat on him and then lie about the lies. Silence. A long pause. Then, I still love him. I stood. Megan must have heard the shift because her voice dropped. You should go. He's done, Madison. I won't leave until he tells me to my face. So I opened the door. She looked different. Or maybe I just saw her differently. No makeup. Hair tangled. Sweater sleeves covering her hands. A version of Madison I'd once comforted, once protected. Yeah? I saw nothing but the performance unraveling. She took one step forward. I know you hate me, she said. But I can't sleep. I can't breathe without you. I messed up, I know that, but we were us, Ryan. You and me, we were real. No, I said quietly. I was real. You were rehearsing. She blinked hard. Tears fell. But I stood still. She wasn't here for closure. She was here for control. For redemption without the work. For a reset button I'd thrown away weeks ago. I didn't want to fall for him, she said, shaking her head, voice cracking. I didn't go looking for anything. It just happened. I was lonely and ill. Stop, I said. She went silent. You don't get to stand here and rewrite the story. You don't get to hand me new lines like that makes the old ones disappear. She took a breath. So that's it? You're just done. I looked at her for a long second. Then I pulled my phone out, opened the email from Travis, and held it out. She hesitated, then her eyes dropped to the screen. I saw it hit her. Line after line of her words. Her lies. Her betrayal again. Her knees buckled. She sat down on the porch step like the weight had finally landed. But I didn't move toward her. I didn't kneel or reach out. I let her sit with it. I was scared, she whispered. So you destroyed everything that scared you first, I said. You don't want love, Madison. You want worship. And the second it starts to feel human, you tear it apart. She looked up at me, soaked in guilt, mascara streaking. I don't know how to fix it. You don't, I said. Because it's not yours to fix anymore. And I closed the door. Behind me, Megan stood silently watching. Do you want a drink? She asked after a moment. I nodded. Yeah. Something strong. We both laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the spell was finally broken. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks later. No ceremony, no screaming match, no drawn-out courtroom drama. Just a quiet clerk stamping papers and a final signature that felt more like a release than an end. She didn't fight it. Maybe because she finally realized there was nothing left to save, or maybe because she thought staying quiet would earn her some sort of dignity on the way out. Either way, I didn't care. My heart wasn't in the paperwork. It had left the day I found her whispering, "I wish I was with you right now," to another man. I went back to Megan's place that evening. She was out with friends, left me a note and a bottle of whiskey on the counter. I sat by the window, sipping slow, watching headlights pass like ghosts across the street. For the first time in months, I felt still. Not happy. Not yet. But something like clean. I took out my phone and opened a note I'd been adding to in pieces, a quiet list of the things I'd learned from all of this. Some were simple. Never trust someone who hides their phone more than their past. Love doesn't come with conditions that include humiliation. Silence between two people should feel comfortable, not like suffocating underwater. Others cut deeper. If someone needs to lie to feel alive, they'll kill everything around them just to keep breathing. The version of her I loved only existed when I wasn't paying attention. I stared at those words a long time. Then I added one more. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation. It's walking away when the door's still open. Megan got home later and found me asleep on the couch. She didn't wake me. Just pulled a blanket over my legs and left the lights off. In the morning, she made coffee. Strong. Burnt the way I liked it. You okay? She asked. I nodded. Better. Ready to start over? I looked at her. And for the first time in what felt like years, I said, yeah. I think I am. If you're reading this and you're the guy staying up late wondering if your gut is right. It is. You're not crazy. You're not paranoid. And you're not weak for loving someone who turned out to be a ghost in a beautiful dress. But you will be stronger the second you stop waiting for them to save what they burned. Let it burn. Then build something better from the ashes. Something that doesn't need to lie to live. Ryan.